Power does not always announce itself with marching boots or raised voices. Sometimes it arrives quietly, in letters, ledgers, laws, and rituals. When Queen Victoria became monarch in 1837, she did not look like history's great conquerors. She was young, sheltered, and uncertain. No battlefield crowned her reign. No sweeping declaration of domination defined her first years. And yet, by the time she died in 1901, the sun famously never set on her empire. 1 in 4 people on Earth lived under her rule. Entire continents were reorganized. Economies were rewired. Cultures were pressured, reshaped, or erased. And still, Victoria herself rarely raised her voice. This is the paradox that unsettles historians and lingers in the present. How could an empire that spoke so often of order, morality, and progress leave behind such deep and enduring trauma? To understand that question, we have to look not just at what Victoria did, but at how power felt during her reign. An empire that felt inevitable. The British Empire under Victoria did not expand like a single unified force. It expanded like a tide, slow, persistent, and difficult to resist. Merchants opened ports, companies secured charters, missionaries followed trade routes, administrators codified rules. Each action seemed reasonable on its own. Together, they formed something immense. Victoria did not design this system from scratch. She inherited it, and that inheritance mattered. Because when power is inherited, it often feels natural, almost unquestionable. Empire did not present itself as conquest, it presented itself as continuity. The world was changing fast. Factories replaced fields, cities swelled, machines transformed time itself. Amid this upheaval, Britain offered something reassuring. Structure. Empire promised order in chaos, and people tend to trust whatever promises stability. Progress as a moral certainty. The Victorian age believed in progress with near religious intensity. Railways were not just steel and steam, they were symbols of destiny. Telegraphs did not merely send messages, they collapsed distance and hierarchy. Industry did not only produce goods, it produced meaning. Britain came to see itself as the carrier of this future. And when you believe you are carrying the future, dissent feels backward. Resistance looks irrational. Suffering becomes unfortunate, but acceptable. Colonized societies were described as undeveloped, immature, or waiting for improvement. This language mattered, because language shapes empathy. Pain framed as a temporary cost of progress becomes easier to ignore. And so, policies that caused hunger, displacement, or death were often defended as necessary steps along a grand historical path. The empire did not ask, who is hurt? It asked, what must be done? Distance and the disappearing human. Empire thrives on distance. Decisions made in London shaped lives in Bengal, Kenya, Ireland, Australia. But the consequences rarely traveled back with the same clarity. When agricultural systems in India were reorganized to favor export crops, the logic was economic. When grain was shipped out during famine, the logic was contractual. When relief was delayed, the logic was administrative. Each decision had a justification. What it lacked was proximity. Millions starved not because food did not exist, but because the system could not feel them. Distance turns people into numbers. Numbers turn suffering into abstraction. Victoria received reports, statistics, summaries. What she did not receive was the sound of hunger, law, order, and the shape of trauma. One of the empire's proudest claims was its commitment to law. British legal codes spread across colonies, replacing local customs with standardized systems. This was celebrated as fairness, predictability, civilization. But law always carries assumptions. British law assumed private property over communal land, written contracts over oral tradition, fixed borders over fluid identities. What had once been normal became illegal overnight. Communities that had lived on land for generations found themselves trespassers. Traditional authorities lost legitimacy. Local justice systems were dismissed as primitive. Trauma does not always arrive as violence. Sometimes it arrives as paperwork. The Queen as an emotional symbol. Victoria herself became something larger than a ruler. She was presented as moral, restrained, maternal. Her long mourning after Prince Albert's death deepened this image. She dressed in black, while the empire dressed the world in red. This symbolism mattered more than any decree, because symbols soften reality. The empire could expand, punish, extract, and suppress, while the Queen remained distant, dignified, almost gentle. Her image reassured the British public that power was in good hands, and reassurance is powerful. It allows people to look away. Empire and the management of suffering. The Victorian Empire did not deny suffering, it managed it. Famines were classified, uprisings were categorized, deaths were recorded. This bureaucratic framing gave pain a sense of order. When the Indian Rebellion of 1857 shook the empire, the response was swift and brutal. But even then, it was described as restoring stability, not inflicting punishment. Language transformed violence into necessity, and once suffering is seen as necessary, it becomes invisible. Intent versus impact. It is tempting to ask whether Victoria intended harm, but intent is a narrow lens. The more important question is this: what did her certainty allow? She believed in duty, in hierarchy, in Britain's moral mission. These beliefs did not require cruelty. They required confidence, and confidence, when paired with power, can reshape the world without ever pausing to ask permission. Trauma that outlived the empire. When empires fall, their structures often remain. Borders drawn for convenience became permanent. Economies built for extraction struggled to transform. Legal systems designed for control persisted. Post-colonial nations inherited railways and institutions, but also divisions, inequalities, and unresolved grief. Trauma was passed down not just through memory, but through infrastructure. Even today, global trade routes echo imperial patterns. Language hierarchies remain. Power imbalances persist. The Victorian Empire did not simply end. It dissolved into the modern world. The question beneath the story. So we arrive at the question. Victoria's reign quietly asks us, can a system grow vast without becoming cruel? Is it possible to govern at scale without turning people into abstractions? Or does size itself erode empathy? When order costs too much, Queen Victoria ruled during an age obsessed with order, order of time, order of trade, order of society, and order, when pursued relentlessly, can demand sacrifice. Her empire brought connectivity, technology, and stability. But it also fractured lives, cultures, and identities. Victoria did not shout commands. She did not lead armies. She presided. And sometimes, presiding is enough. Because history's deepest wounds are often inflicted not by rage, but by reassurance, by systems that feel calm, by leaders who seem moral, by beliefs that feel certain. The empire is gone, but its emotional imprint remains. And the timeless question lingers. When power feels gentle, who is quietly paying its price? If you found this exploration insightful, give this video a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe to Timeless Questions channel for more deep dives into philosophy, history, and human nature. Because the questions may be ancient, but the wisdom is timeless.